This is the chart review for 4/17/2019. It's Wednesday. So this morning we uh, we had a good move up overnight. Um, they had one big push here with a high amount of delta and pushed it up over that 29.14 level, which was the resistance point, and basically they sold off. It looks like their shares. You can see the red candles, and kind of just held it above. Structure is so important on a chart. So once like we'll talk on the bullish side. Once you break this like piece of structure up to the upside, it's going to generate buyers when it comes back to the volume side of the node. You can see that right there. Let me see if I can put an arrow on this thing. So you have a volume node right here, and once you break through there and you get some distance away from the volume node, and they've executed quite a bit of volume to get it up and over, they'll start to sell the volume back to the market slowly, and that's what generates a bull flag. This is not the best bull flag. It's a little bit steep, but basically what they do is they just sell it back, and they know that they're going to find buyers when it comes back into the level of the breakout, and then at that point they'll release off the selling and basically start buying again. You know, they've made a profit by pushing it up and then selling it back to the people that get on board, thinking that it's just going to continue forever. But you can see at this point where it really started to take off and go, there just wasn't any delta down in here showing any kind of strength in buying. There just wasn't any resistance, and you know they moved this with limit orders. So the delta is market orders, and you're just seeing these little tiny bars down here. So it wasn't really aggressive buying. There wasn't really anybody here taking a position. You don't see any real levels. You know, there was a little one right here, 4 candles sideways, and then broke off, and again where the line was, we got 3 candles sideways, and right at the open, nobody knew that it was going to sell off. That's the whole thing about trading, is you don't know that this is going to happen. Nobody knows that this is going to happen, but they released a torrent, right? And you basically got a false breakout right there, right? So this was the open. When they sold it down and it broke through that level right there, it tried to hold on top of this volume node right here. It tried to hold on top of this node, right? It actually bought up in that candle, and then they tried to buy it up, but once it broke here, people were running out of this stock, and it went fast. I know there's a lot of bars right here, but if we look at this on a 30-minute chart, that's one bar. I mean, that's pretty much one bar that we're looking at between these two blue bars, right? All these bars. So they sold this. This is a tick chart right here. This is an 8,000 tick chart. So you can see that there was a lot of activity to make that many bars. So from here to here, they were really selling, and none of these levels really could hold that, and so it just didn't work. You know, it wasn't until we got down here where things started to kind of slow down, and people could see the other structure on the left of the chart here, and they were starting to, you know, buy in. Like they tried right here, right? if if we went to a smaller time frame and looked at that particular area, I just moved one of my lines right here. You can see that first stab, um, the first stab that they took at it, oh, just not going to be able to get that line on there right there. Try and make that yellow, so it's, or how about red? See, that was right across the top. That's where they actually tried to make that first, line in the sand and try and buy it back up. This is a 500 tick chart, so you can see back here on the larger time frame on the 8,000 tick, that this first wick comes in line right where the line is, and you can see that lines up. If I move this over a little bit, that lines up right here with the top of the volume node, right in those two candles, right? This is just this little wave right here. Didn't hold. The market was still too weak. Came down and tested the bottom and was basically into the area of kind of the in between, right? The level between the trade under and trade over spot right here, and that's where the first bounce really kind of came in, and they ran it right back up. And if we move this profile over, you can see that they, if I'm just taking this wave right here from the top, you can see that this doesn't include this piece of price action right here. It just includes this. This was the highest level. Look at the bar, the first effort that they tried to make right there. Basically, a lot of people bought right here, and when they bought this back up, these people right here that had been underwater and they held on, they sold this. And that's what kept the market weak, right? They were like, oh man, thank God I got out. And they basically sold that. That's where everybody was. It tested the top of this little node right here, and it sold off. And where did it go? It went to the top of this node. So if we kind of move that over, right, now we're incorporating this little area right here. We're looking at the top of this node right here. We traded right back to it, tried another bounce. If we went to a smaller time frame, this line that I have is a line in the sand. And I told you once, in the early morning, I said once you get under this 2909 area or whatever, it's going to be seen as weakness, right? And they just couldn't get over it. It was failing, and after that, it was just attempts. There's people out there that have been buying the dip forever for 9-10 years or whatever, and they'll buy it. They'll keep on buying it, thinking that you're going to get these runs all the time, because this is what the market does every day, is they just buy it all the way back up. So we got a little bit of a change of behavior with things failing, and this was basically just kind of stepping down the whole way, right? And you can see it's even after hours, it's kind of failing. Sorry, my dog's playing with the ball behind me. So it's kind of important to kind of look at this stuff and kind of get a gauge. And if we look at things in maybe a bigger time frame, what are we doing? That kind of becomes a question of what are we doing? So we're sitting on top of this volume now, right? we have this area right here that we're starting to test. We're testing the top of it. I'm surprised that we didn't go a little bit farther, but you know, the people that don't trade with volume profile, they're looking at the tops of these pivots, right? And that's where they're basically aiming to try and get in. And there's kind of like a little high volume node sitting right here. You know, there's nothing else there. It's just that's it for the volume. But you can see that, you know, it tested that node, and that's where it decided to bounce. I would maybe think that this is going to go down and hit the top of this bigger volume node. You know, if you go pull in here and move our volume node so that it looks like this, you know, this area right here, or this area right here at the very bottom, right? There's a lot of volume in there, which will probably be the next support level for the next bounce. And really, if it starts to trade under here, we got to think that this node right here is going to be kind of the top. So when it bounces, it's probably coming back up here to the 2903, 2904 kind of level, right? It's going to try and test that. So, and that's kind of the way that the market trades, right? It goes from volume node to volume node. So, what happens? I don't know. Plunge protection team, do they step in tonight and rescue the market again? Make sure that it's up nice and big and strong and get people excited, or do people sell it overnight? I'm not really sure. But, you know, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the levels just didn't work today. They got smoked in that thing, and so sometimes you got to step aside when this starts to happen. There was definitely no weakness. There was an attempt right here, right? And it looked like it could maybe get it, but it was on this node right here. If you were very fast, right? So this is 2913.50, and there's 2914.25, 2050. There's like maybe almost a point in there. If you took a trade on the line, you maybe got some of these points, right? But it was pretty weak. You had to get out fast. You couldn't hold and try and get the other direction. It was, moving averages were pulling away from each other. Delta was all underneath. It wasn't even making it back to the line. It wasn't until this area right here where the delta started to kind of flatten a little bit, and it tried to get up, and then it fell back down. And there's another area right here on the delta that it got pretty flat, and this is where I kind of assumed that things would maybe reverse and they would buy the market back up, but just didn't really happen. I also do a lot of looking at symmetry in the market, right? So you can see that the market likes to do 100% range extensions when it falls out of a trading range. It tends to hit a target of 100% range extension, and you see that just like all over the chart. So if I put that to here, when it broke out of here, it got 100% range extension. That's kind of like how you want to try and pick some of your targets. It might keep you in trades at certain times, and you can see it stays pretty steady as far as how far stocks trade. Like right here's a range. You can see that there's a level right across there. There's the bottom. If I extended it just a little bit, you would get something more like that. But I mean, it definitely hit that range, and if you move it up again, it kind of hit the range up here, and you can keep on moving it up, and it'll probably work out. And um, it just seems to you know range expansion is like 100%, and so if you can sometimes catch the trade or whatever, and see the range and see the breakout, you might be able to capture 100% range extension at some points. But you should be aware of that for targets, because it does tend to work. People call them measured moves. There's different ways of looking at them. So, but they're all over the chart, and if you pay attention, you can try and take advantage of them. So again, there was a nice big range, and it broke out and took you even beyond the 100% range extension there. But that's it for tonight. It's important to kind of look at your charts and kind of have a strategy and a plan, and it's all based on volume. Um, where are the people trading? So see you in the morning.